Super Mario Galaxy has some of my favorite boss fights ever. They're weird, cinematic, and somehow just always ridiculous. Recently though, I did dive into Super Mariomon, which basically turns Mario characters into Pokémon captures, so while I was playing both games, I couldn't stop thinking about what the Galaxy bosses would be like in the Pokémon world. Now, I'm not a Pokémon expert, but as a huge fan of Mario and someone who started their Pokémon journey with Gen 3, it made me want to mash both concepts together. So today, I'm ranking every Mario Galaxy boss from worst to best based on the blend of how cool they would be as Pokémon, how their actual boss fights translate into real Pokémon moves and typings, and the overall raw wow factor of the encounter. We'll go from number 27 to number 1, with each boss having one signature Pokémon move that closely translates to something they would do in the respective Galaxy fights. But before we dive in, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, as this took me a very long time to make. Seriously, I had to put so much thought into making this work, so if you could help with the engagement, it would mean a lot. Starting off with number 27, we got the Mana Bug Stack. The Mana Bug Stack is the best example of a boss fight that only exists to be laughed at later. In Galaxy, you stomp them and the whole thing collapses like a cheap prop, which I think translates well with a bug Pokemon whose entire kit is basically tackle and little else. As a capture, it's the kind you get during a tutorial route, but then immediately box once you find something better. It's basic, easy to understand, and perfectly lasts because neither the fight nor the Pokemon idea has real depth. Number 26, Underground Gunner. Underground Gunners are those turret-like Monty Moles that pop up and shoot projectiles. While they're more like timing puzzles than real bosses in Galaxy, this maps neatly into a water/steel type capture that peeks out and spams projectiles. I think Bubble Beam matches the feel of them shooting projectiles at Mario better than any flashy laser would, and Water Steel gives it a weird, slightly credible defensive look. The problem is the encounter is repetitive and passive. You bait it, hit it, and repeat. So as a Pokemon, it would be rather niche and more annoying than actually inspiring. Number 25, Boogaboom. Boogaboom looks cinematic in Honey Hive Galaxy, and the swooping animations sell the idea of a giant insect, but the actual fight devolves into getting on its back and hitting its weak spot. The sweep lunge behavior is somewhat similar to what a wing attack feels like in Pokemon, so the bug flying type makes sense. The problem is it's also redundant, just like how bug flying Pokemon are common, and the fight offers no memorable mechanic beyond the swoop. So the Pokemon version just feels like another early route flyer. Visually cool, but mechanically thin. Number 24, Sorbetti. Sorbetti is literally a rolling snowball where you just need to hit its nose. It charges and repeats. The Galaxy fight is a fast minigame in a small snowy area, and while I couldn't find a direct move for it, I think we could just imagine it as an ice Pokemon that specializes in Ice Ball. While it doesn't spit out any ice-like moves, I think Ice Ball is a great imaginative move to represent that rolling threat. I mean, Sorbetti already kinda looks like a giant ice ball himself, so let's just imagine it hurling its miniature versions of itself. The move also doesn't have 100% accuracy, which I think is fitting enough as the boss isn't as accurate with its own hits anyway. And speaking of ice, at number 23, we have Baron Burr. Baron Burr feels like the guy who wins fights not by being strong, but by making the entire arena miserable to stand in. His Galaxy battle is all about slipping around, dodging, and trying not to get frozen solid while he casually hovers over you. Translating that into Pokemon, an ice type with Icy Wind makes perfect sense because the move also slows you down and forces you to play around its icy situation. The same way the boss fight constantly interrupts your movement. He can be annoying and a little stubborn, but he's not the most dynamic thing out there. Number 22, Megaleg. Megaleg's intro sells the scale. Massive, clanking, cinematic, but the fight feels very scripted. You climb the leg and whack the weak point. The giant metal body screams as steel and rock type, and the way you chip away its armor translates into iron defense. Basically, the Pokemon idea would be a tank that looks ferocious on paper, but it's a one-dimensional wall in practice. It's a design that wows you in the first playthrough, but it's nothing more than a simple obstacle that just needs some time to defeat. Number 21, Top Maniac. Top Maniac is like a Beyblade with kinetic comedy, a spinning top boss that can flip you around like a carnival ride. The Galaxy fight is mostly timing and using the environment, and the whole spin to win concept becomes rapid spin naturally if Top Maniac were a steel Pokemon. It's a great concept for a spectacle and short-term wackiness, but as a Mariomon-like capture, it wouldn't really hold up as long. Fun to fight, but the Pokemon reincarnation is particularly a bit more basic than I would like to have, just like how this boss fight is in general. Number 20, Dig-a-Leg. Dig-a-Leg looks like a monstrous construction tool where in Galaxy 2, the drill swipes are the whole show. The boss is a tanky mechanical limb with an exposed weak core. As a Steelmon, Drill Run maps right onto that attack that it does and gives the Pokemon version a plausible offensive identity. The fight feels pretty accurate to the move, you avoid its predictable arcs and hit the exposed mechanics. It's a good industrial design that meets good Pokemon logic, but the encounter doesn't get enough creative phases to ascend it a lot higher. Number 19, Rolladillo. Rolladillo's entire shtick is rolling until you stop it, which is literally the concept behind rollout in Pokemon. So this one's just a really clean translation. Rock/ground type that charges where you punish it as it tries and tries all over again. The Galaxy fight captures the momentum because you do dodge its multiple charges and you hit him from behind after he tumbles. And the Pokemon version would be fun in a raw, get that moment going sense. It's satisfying and visceral, which is why it sits comfortably in the lower mid pack with all things considered. Number 18, King Caliente. King Caliente is unforgettable incredible visually. There's a bunch of lava, descending platforms, a volleyball of molten doom. As a capture, it would be a rare fire/water type, interesting combo that matches its mechanics. Its magma volley behavior translates well into Scald, since the heat and splash dynamic is central to both the boss fight and the Pokemon move. The Galaxy encounter is stylish and tense the first few times, but once you master the timing, it's very manageable. While it's still kind of mid when it comes to the overall depth, he's definitely a cool concept. Number 17, Squizzard. Squizzard feels like a sandstorm cannon. Bro is messy, spits projectiles, and forces you to space out. The Galaxy Fight's constant projectile match becomes Mud Bomb in the Pokemon world, a chip and blind approach that matches his spitty, crazy attacks. Ground and Steel captures the heavy, gritty design and the idea of a boss who punishes bad positioning. It's more interesting than it initially looks, which definitely separates himself from the previous rankings. Number 16, the Womp King. Womp King is the classic giant slab of stone boss design, which is slow, heavy, but very devastating if you get hit. In Galaxy, it's a simple trick: bait the flop, hit the back, and repeat, which as a Pokemon would give him the rock typing and totally fits Heavy Slam as the signature move. Nostalgia and the satisfying thunk of his body give him weight in the ranking, but the fight is derivative of other Womp encounters. As much as I love Womp's Fortress, I think it's more reasonable to keep him mid-pack as he's not very innovative. Number 15, Pee-wee Piranha. Pee-wee Piranha's fight is nostalgic just like the Womp King's, but a little bit more charming. That frantic dash around a small planet is goofy and memorable, which helps him be somewhat separated from his first counterpart as a grass Pokemon. The move Pound captures the toddler-like tantrum attack perfectly. He's the kind of capture you keep around because he's fun and weird, and if he evolves, he could be a powerful weapon. The Galaxy battle itself is a light, playful skirmish, and the Pokemon version preserves that vibe. Fun, quite adorable, with possible potential. Number 14, Dino Piranha. Dino Piranha feels like a real upgraded threat compared to Pee-wee, with big arcs and a more intense arena, and the Dragon element gives its whip tail attack a serious bite. Dragon Tail mirrors those sweeping tail-like hits. The Galaxy Fight's theatrics, the reveal, his size, and tail mechanics, this all translates well into the Mariomon captured universe with presence and bite. It's certainly more threatening in both formats, which is why it jumps above the smaller Piranha by a smidge. Number 13, Kingfin. Kingfin is a story-driven nightmare boss of Galaxy 1. Dark water, ominous music, and a chase that drills into your brain a little bit. The hit-and-run aesthetic lines up with Aqua Jet, a fast lunge attack that captures the torpedo charge from the fight. Labeling the boss as a water/ghost type gives him an eerie presence rather than just raw offensive stats. And the Galaxy Battles atmosphere is the primary reason Kingfin ranks here. Lots of memorable tension with also a decent moveset. Number 12, Major Burrows. Major Burrows basically is the move Dig in boss form. Tunneling, surprising, and relentless during those chase sequences. Ground/Steel fits his whole aesthetic, and the fight's pacing in Galaxy, where he chases you and pops out, converts directly into a Dig-style combat pattern for the Pokemon translation. It's one of those entries where the boss fight and the Pokemon capture idea are seamless in agreement. Despite the move being very generic, it's a well thought out concept that makes sense and can be very intense to deal with. Number 11, Giga Lakitu. Giga Lakitu is like Lakitu on steroids. More spikes, a bigger cloud, and lots of projectile zoning. The Galaxy Fight sees a big platform and spiky projectiles for defining the space, and Spike Cannon fits the barrage perfectly for a steel/flying capture. He'd honestly be a disruptive presence in the team, evasive and very pressure heavy. The spectacle and layout of his fight push him into the top half and is definitely a memorable early boss in Galaxy 2. Number 10, Camella. Camella plays like a mid-battle sorceress. Shell reflections, teleport hops, and time projectile volleys. In Pokemon terms, a fire/psychic typing with mystical fire fits her magical fireball mechanics and her tricky patterns. The Galaxy Duel has rhythm, misdirection, and a satisfying payoff when you parry all her shells, all of which translate into a capture that's clever and stylish rather than just using brute force. She's elegant and a lot of fun, and she can be very tough to some, especially in the later versions of her encounters. Number 9, Bowser Jr.'s Airship Armada. This isn't just a boss, it's a sequence. Flying platforms, cannons, and a mini army that feels very theatrical. The steel flying type fits the Armada vibe and the machine heavy kit. The move Magnet Bomb can be a direct translation as you already have to avoid metal heavy explosives in the Galaxy Fight. In Pokemon, the move can be a tactical nuisance that seems to always hit, while in Galaxy, it's a spectacle that demands precise positioning at times to not take any damage. Both versions make the boss a standout experience that balances being fun and challenging. Number 8, Tarantox. Tarantox is gloriously gross, but mechanically very satisfying. Bro's got the webbing, the weak point popping, and a creeping build of a dread. As a bug poison type and a confirmed Mariomon capture, Poison Fang nails the bite and ooze attacks you dodge during the encounter. The Galaxy Fight demands timing and placement, and the Pokemon version would most likely punish stalls and mispositioning the same way. It's memorable in both forms, nasty, clever, and sick, but this time, sick in a good way. Number 7, Mega Hammer. Mega Hammer is loud, physical, and relentless. Hammer swings bullet bill spam with a giant robot's raw power. Translating that into a steel type with Flash Cannon captures the idea of concentrated metal energy and the heavy artillery feel. The Galaxy Fight's pattern recognition and the feel of using the environment to bounce attacks back convert it into a Pokemon whose kit is all about being powerful with well-timed hits. It's one of those more satisfying fights that feels like a true battle, and I always love using Yoshi here, as you really don't use him here anywhere else. Number 6. Glamdozer. Glamdozer is yet again another boss who fits the idea of being very dramatic. When you wake her up from her slumber, she relentlessly charges at you and spits lava everywhere. With both circumstances, the arena becomes a war of attrition. While it's kinda hard to pinpoint the perfect move for her, Fire Blast reflects that cinematic high damage burst she brings to the stage, and the fire/rock typing fits the molten heavy aesthetic. In Galaxy, the fight ramps up visually and mechanically, and as a capture, she'd be a high risk/high reward type of character. She has flair and the raw strength that is deserving at this rank. Number 5. Bowser Jr.'s Boomsday Machine. This is Bowser Jr. throwing an entire factory at you. Lasers, platforms, and vertical pacing that makes the arena feel insanely alive. The rock and electric type matches the massive contraption vibe, and the move Electro Ball also fits the mech's flashy charge shots perfectly. The Galaxy Fight's multi-phase climb and destroy structure translates into a Pokemon that would be a raid-like nightmare. Hard-hitting, multi-attack, and spectacular. I've always loved this boss fight in Galaxy 2 as its creativity and mechanical density are extremely impressive. Solid top 5 in any day. Number 4. Prince Picante. Prince Picante's mix of icy surfaces and massive fire cannons make him a controlled boss encounter. The move Eruption channels the brutal stage-spanning explosion that this boss brings when enraged, and the fire typing alone fits his raw offensive identity. The Galaxy Fight is a constant balancing act. Move, skate, dodge, and then punish when you can finally land an opening. And the Pokemon interpretation would be a big gamble that pays off if you finish him right before everything gets really worse. A spicy, dangerous, and stylish boss that I always love to come back to. Number 3. Gobblegut. Gobblegut is insane. Bro's got massive loops, a giant maw, and exploding weak points that makes you feel nervous every time. As a dragon and fire type, Fire Fang suits the chomp and burn monster and fits with a fiery variance design. The Galaxy Fight is of course cinematic and demands proper timing to pop the right segments, which can mirror to the Pokemon translation of finding the type weakness to win. Overall, this is a top tier boss in Galaxy 2, and if Bro were to exist in the Pokemon world, he could definitely be a menace. At number 2, we have Bouldergeist. Bouldergeist was actually the spark to my inspiration for this video, because I really think he could work flawlessly as a Pokemon. The floating fists, the boo bombs, the shifting phases, everything screams a dual type menace with lots of various moves. I decided to go with Rock Tomb here as the signature because the fight is built around boulder hazards and positional control. You're always dodging falling stones, and you always want to time your strikes precisely. As a ground and ghost type, he'd be disorienting and stylish. As a Galaxy boss, he'd be tough, cool, and cinematic. Overall, I think he's adjacently legendary and deserves to be one of the best in the entire series. And finally, at number 1, we have Bowser himself. Bowser is a full package, raw in scale, a boss with multi-phase creativity, and has an ending that genuinely feels like a finale. In both Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2, his moves covered meteors, shockwaves, giant slams, and the feeling that the entire level could collapse at any moment, which is why he translates perfectly well into a fire and dragon type capture, which I also decided to not only include one signature move, but multiple standout attacks. Fire Blast covers the meteor and flame barrages, Dynamic Punch mirrors those devastating, staggering, inducing melee mashes in the Galaxy 2 fights, and Shell Armor speaks to Bowser's defense, turtle-like resilience when he hugs an attack or shields. To put simply, as a Pokemon, he'd be a terrifying cinematic final boss. And in Galaxy alone, he's a masterclass in escalation, spectacle, and satisfaction. And for those who have played Mariomon, well, I'm sure you can agree he's also got the full package there as well. Bowser is number 1 for many reasons, and it's honestly apparent as to why. And there you have it. Ranking every Mario Galaxy boss as Pokemon didn't just make a silly thought experiment. It highlighted how many of these fights already feel like creature battles because they have attack patterns, phases, and signature gimmicks that honestly could translate pretty well in the Pokemon universe. Let me know though which boss you would actually try to capture for your Pokemon team and whether you agree with the typing and the moves that I picked. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more unorthodox ranking videos and other fun ideas from your favorite Nintendo titles. Also, shout out to my friend Mikey for helping me with the Pokemon stuff. I probably wouldn't have been able to come up with many of these moves if it weren't for his help. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.